Ngozi. Sulphur City in the building, y'all. Why are we so blind? Take off the shades and let the light in. Why are we so blind? Take off.
Family, hotel, peace and blessings. I greet you in the name of God and the ancestors, in whose footsteps I most humbly walk, his brother Ed Moja Herman. And we are here on a Saturday in November, and we have a special guest. Now, if you followed PIFF, if you follow Sisters in Harmony, you know who she is. She is directly responsible for our very first theme song in PIFF. Because I remember the night she came over to the Blue Hotel and she sat down with Dr. Walls and kind of map things out and give her ideas and stuff. And from that meeting, the first PIFF song in 2014 came out, which was Push Push, right? Which I still love. Beautiful message in the song.
I do too.
And so we've been following her, supporting over the years, because for me personally, as a Kemetic elder, when we have young people doing what she's doing, using their God-given talents in a positive way, we are responsible for supporting them. We cannot say do better, and then when they do better, we don't support them. Then we are hypocrites if we do that. So PIFF, UCCI, Sisters in Harmony, been supporting us since we met her back in 2014. And so we are happy to have her here. She's going to give us an update. Now, if you've never heard her music, if you haven't watched the interview, I reposted the first interview we did with her back in 2015. It's on our Facebook page. And so we're going to pick up and see what she's doing with her life now. Sister Ngozi, Naomie Grandison Ngozi is with us live from St. Lucia. The land simply beautiful, and it will inspire you to do better. So welcome, Sister Ngozi, to the PIFF Connection, PIFF Conversations. Sister Ngozi, how you doing, girl?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I just want to say hello to everybody who's listening. It's always a pleasure to connect with Ed, and the PIFF family. So I'm here. I'm in a good space. I'm keeping positive.
Great. That's good. Now, like I said to you, I want to pick up your music. Now, I've been following you since 2014, and I've heard your voice change, got stronger. Your message has gotten more focused. It was focused before, but the message in your music has become very intense. And even listening to you singing Creole for Genre Creole, the single you put out for Genre Creole. So what's going on with you that your music has taken this, like it went from here to pinpoint like a straight line? What's going on? What happened that made your music take such a stronger point of view?
Wow, I didn't even see it like that, to be honest, Ed. So I would love for you to tell me how it has become more focused. I think for me, it wasn't something where I sat down and said, oh my God, I'm gonna just zooming into this particular vibe or this particular topic. I think what I can say is that I've just become much more into being self-aware. I've done additional self-work. I have transitioned from my past job. And I think most importantly, I see an urgency for me to express myself more as an artist, for me to put more music out in the world, because it's there, it's germinating, it's been germinating, and I'm aware of it, and I'm recording my ideas and I'm writing them down. And I recall just recently I was going through my phone, not recently, but just recent enough. I was going through my phone, and because I'm like, okay, I need to give the music more attention, and I heard myself singing a Zouk song, like singing to a Zouk beat. And I'm like, I could not remember at one point that I did it. I think it had to have been within the last 2 years. And guess what song that was? That was T-Way. Oh. Yeah, I literally just had a chorus. And I was just so moved. Imagine I'm listening to myself singing something that I just improved. And
Wow.
I was touched by the sound of it, and I felt this desire inside of me to sort of like create more music like that and to challenge myself, because it's an area that I always wanted to explore, but it for some reason it had just never happened. So just becoming more aware of myself as a Caribbean person, not just aware, but just more in tune, having more time and energy. Because working as a nurse on the shift system, it comes with a few imbalances in a sense, because I worked in the night. It was unpredictable. I didn't get the holidays off all the time. So in a way, transitioning from that to a more stable working hours, although I definitely need to transcend from there, but it has helped in that regard, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember when I was one time I was in St. Lucia, and this gentleman I spoke to, he was a big supporter of what we do in PIFF. He's made his transition. Now he's an ancestor now. Gandalf St. Clair.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Brother St. Clair always said, he said, you know, we have to make sure we do not forget our Creole heritage. He is very big about the Creole heritage. And
Indeed.
he helped me in one PIFF bring some Creole people in to sing some Creole songs during PIFF. And so when I heard you singing the Joran Creole song, I thought about him automatically. I said, wherever he is right now, he must be smiling from ear to ear to see a young sister singing a song for Creole, Joran Creole, in the language, completely in the language, because
Yeah.
that's what he
That
was
was the
about.
first time.
So
Yeah.
how did it feel? How did it
It felt, it,
feel?
for me, Ed, you would be surprised to know that it felt natural.
Mm,
It felt no, I wrote the entire song. Like
okay.
I had the chorus and the idea. I spoke with the producer, and I wanted to collaborate with somebody to complete the song. But when he sent the music to me over what I had already done, we were like, we need to get this thing out for Jeune Creole. And I just decided, just continue to write the song. Just think about the message that I want to send out there with what's happening in the world with the coronavirus, and us just trying to preserve our emotional and mental emotional space, and
Hmm.
for us to protect our mental health and to enhance it, and to just be alive in the midst of everything, be alive. So
Yeah.
I think just that internal joy that I'm experiencing, and I'm just holding on to it. I am more determined to hold on and to access more peace, and not just peace but joy, because and that is accessed a lot through gratitude.
So
So
so let me ask you, how has the general population in St. Lucia received the song?
oh, very well. For me, I would, perhaps I don't listen to enough radio for sure. But I do know that it's on the wave, and it's been out there. I've had a few people call me and tell me they love the music. Every day I'm hearing somebody tell me they really love the two songs that I released recently, Come Close to Me. I've gotten messages in my inbox. I've been getting a lot of love, just not from St. Lucia, but just particularly on social media, wherever people are.
Hmm.
And for me, I can't say that I'm hearing it a lot out there like you'd hear the Denry segment or the SoCal. Like I'm anticipating that kind of presence. It's not there as yet, but
Hmm.
I am really focused about continuing to create the buzz, not just around that particular song, but just around the vibe that I'm trying to put out in the music and the different, and to keep the momentum going, because that's one of the things that happened before. The momentum was there, and then it just kind of went down. It was there and it kind of went down. So I really want to just keep that momentum going to the best of my ability. And you must have a certain amount of resources, because some people will tell artists, "Oh, what's up? Why aren't you releasing stuff and everything?" You need resources.
Resources, yeah.
You need financial resources. You need time. You need the to connect with the right musicians or the right producer.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I have stuff that I started working on, and sometimes for whatever reason, just the process just never gets completed. So sometimes it's to be in alignment,
Mhm.
and to recognize that you have to. I recognize that I need to invest in my passion more, because the coronavirus epidemic, the coronavirus epidemic really planted a sense of urgency to plant the seeds and to birth my ideas, because I don't know when I'm going to transition. Like, I just have this thing where
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to transition, and if I need to live and birth these ideas and do what I can to get it out there. I need to invest more time and finances into that kind of thing. So that is what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, you said that. You said a lot right there. So, something you said. My Grandmaster Cam, my spiritual father, teacher, he always said to me. He said, "Haru, I leave home every day knowing I might not return. So I
Right.
leave everything in order, knowing this might be my last time I walk out my house." And he said it to me many years ago. I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And kind of interesting, him being a high priest in the Kemetic circle. Um, when he made his transition, the day he made his transition, he he knew his time. He went around and he said goodbye to everybody. Yeah,
Wow.
he wrote his wife a goodbye letter, and when they took him to the hospital, he transitioned in the hospital. So
Wow.
when she came home, she found the letter on the bed.
Wow.
Yeah, and like he told the next door neighbors bye. He told people bye because he knew it was his time. So he just like, so when you are in that, you're talking about, we don't know. So we prepare ourselves. If you knew tomorrow was your last day, what would you do now? How would you make the adjustments?
Right.
And so when I listen to your music, and I said to you at the beginning of the conversation, your voice sounds stronger. It sounds more focused. Your message is like it's so welcoming. And I guess it's
Right.
because as we make those transitions through our lives, to different steps in our lives, we understand that how these gifts that we have, these talents that we have, we should not take them for granted.
That
And I,
is it.
and I think that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I go back through my life and here I am, knocking on 60 now. I'm like, no, soon. And I'm like, what have
That's
I?
it. It's the new 40, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so
No, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
seriously.
I feel great, but the reality is that I've almost lived 6 decades on this planet, and
Exactly.
so when I look at it, I'm like, what have I done? Am I doing? Can I do better? Should I be doing better? What gift boxes did I not open up yet? And so when I listen to your music, I'm like, wow, my music sounds. Maybe it's me. I'm hearing it differently, but I'm looking at you, and you look happier than when I
Yes,
first.
yes.
I'm like,
I was waiting for you to say it, it's because, interestingly, definitely, that I think that's what it is. It's as I said, the flourishing of greater joy, and that joy is fed through deeper appreciation, and a determination for peace of mind. And I think a number of external factors contribute to that, because a lot of people sometimes say, "Oh, you just need to shift your perspective and stop thinking negative." I think for a lot of us to experience a certain level of comfort and joy, there are certain things in our external environment that would enhance our access to that. So, for instance, as I said, transitioning from my past job, so into a different type of work that is more aligned to what I'm passionate about, which is
mhm,
speaking and encouraging people to change their behaviors. That's pretty much me, whether it be music or whether it be presenting. A more stable uh, time frame in a very well, pretty much a stable relationship. So there are a lot of things that come with that. um, um, and the self work, the determination to continue the self work, because
mhm,
initially my focus was a lot on the healing process, because at that time I was I thought that's what I needed to focus on. and I think it's still an important need, because I was going through a lot of my healing process too, and music usually comes out for yourself first. But as time went on, I think just awareness, uh, a greater form of healing can be accessed through joy, and that's what most people respond to. And I think the music that I did before was kind of reminding persons about what was heavy and what needed to be done, or how you should push through, or whatever you should do, which was great, which is awesome. But I think what's happening now is just a different approach. You
Hmm.
know, just kind of like sharing that we I don't know. I just find like I'm let me explain to you. Let me explain
No,
to you.
no, 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 no.
I
I get it. I get it. I'm listening to you, and I get it because one of the songs you recently done, you sent it out, was the one where you talk about European history and the Chinese in the Caribbean, still a China. Now that song, I love that song because it speaks to so much of us as a people. And listening to you sing it and put it in words and song, it was so cool. I was like, I like that. That's really
yeah,
cool. I mean, it's like a nice tap on the shoulder. It's not a hit on the head, but it's a nice tap on the
right,
shoulder saying, you know what? Why do they call him a Chinaman no matter where he is? But for us, when we go,
right.
and it's like, I like that.
Hmm.
I like the way she put it because that's true. That's on point. It's like anyone. I mean, here in the U.S., people from Italy still call Italian Americans. No matter how many generations they live here, they still call them
No
Italian
matter how
American,
many.
right?
Yeah,
And so I'm like, that's right. So, and for us as people of African descent, if you say you're an African, so people look at you, you're not African. Like,
right. It's troubling, and I'm thankful that you were able to feel like it wasn't a hit on the head, but rather a tap on the shoulder, because I think sometimes we just need to have that seed planted, and then for us to be like, for true, rather than like, oh my God, you're doing nonsense. Why are you doing this? I feel it's better for somebody to be like, yeah, that makes sense. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because they take more ownership of the perspective that they would have or change.
So you know what I have
Rather
to
than
ask
the
you?
forceful, you
Forceful.
did this, you
Uh,
did this, stop being so stupid kind of thing.
what made you put that song together? Because that song has so many messages in it, and what made you, as an artist, as a singer, as a woman of color in the Caribbean, what made you put that song together?
To be honest, Ed, that song has been in my heart for quite some time. The words, the exact words, and the exact way that I was going to do it wasn't there, but it has always been. I mean, from the time I went through my own spiritual journey, and I was reading all the books, John Henry Clark, and just sort of like reading Dubois and all these guys. And that was way back after I left A level. That was after community college. There was a lot of transition, spending time with various persons and asking questions, trying to understand the Rastafari community, going to workshops. So I'd gathered all of this kind of passion, but for some reason I had not yet put it. I had written stuff, but to put it into words, and it was I wrote this song during 2020, in 2018,
Wow. Okay.
and I wrote it because I went through a bit of a transformation between 2017, 2018 ish. I went through a bit of a transformation, a deeper form of healing, I consider, a deeper form of self acceptance, a deeper form of just embracing me holistically, and deciding that I need to, as I said, that journey of focusing on the messages that I want to put out through the music. And I was listening to some song, and I made a conscious decision to try to get that message out. I literally made a conscious decision to bring out that message, because I felt it was time, because at that time I was home. um I was home for a little while. So I had the time to sort of like allow myself to create. So I think it's important for us to see where our weakness and our defects are and where we need to heal, and not be ashamed of it, not try to cover it up, or always focusing on it being a block, but rather to just embrace that it's a part of you, and
Yeah.
just practically look for solutions and follow through on the solutions until you find
See,
something that
I
is,
remember that.
yeah.
I remember that part of your life now that you said it, because I remember you were posting a lot of things about the foods you were eating and eating better, stuff like that. I remember that. I follow
Yeah,
you.
you're right, because I think before that I had transitioned back to, because I was doing veganism way back. As you know, the journey always does that, eh?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it takes you to a different place. So you're right. Around that time, I was doing a lot of, just, environmental, what you eat, and I was
Yeah.
really determined about putting it out there. And that was around the same time
Yeah, I
that I was
remember that.
going through that
That's I, I
intimacy.
remember. I was happy to see you posting those little things on there. I was like, check her out. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I even did a video of me baking some banana bread. That's
Like,
true.
yep, I remember that. So as you
Yeah.
talk about the time frame, but is this that when we go through those transitions, it's very interesting, because I remember when I went through my comedic initiation, and Grandmaster gave me my comedic name, my African comedic name, which is on my business card. And then he said to me, "Now you are a priest in the comedic circle." And he gave my name, and I was like, I, I had the title, and I did not use it because I didn't feel comfortable with it, right? I didn't think I was worthy of it yet. To me, I had to,
Right.
even though I did the work and I had the title, I had to go through the process of getting comfortable with it. So by time,
Very good point.
yeah, I had to, someone give you something, and then you have to get to know how to use it, right? And so me, I had to understand what that talent meant, what was my responsibilities, and then I had to grow into it. I had a process to get into it. And when I hit 50, it was like, okay, I felt a little bit better, because I didn't feel like in my 40s I was worthy of the name and the title. Even though Grandmaster said to me, you did the work already. You're doing the work. Yes. And I was like, okay, Grandmaster, yes, sir. So, but I didn't, I didn't use it. So when I turned 50, that's when I stopped putting it on my business card. And then people start seeing it and start asking me about it. So then I had got comfortable with it. So as the process, and I think some of the other, like, about young people, there's always a process to certain things. Some processes take overnight, some of them take a longer period of time. So as I watched you with the veganism, and you were doing the different stuff, baking the bread and showing talk, I was like, check her out. I was happy to see that, because I knew you, and I was like, that was really cool to see that. And
The
I guess that
transition.
that transition, just watching you go through that transition, and then later on, I started hearing your music had a different deliverance in it.
Right,
Your
right.
voice sounded different, and your whole aura was different and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is really cool.
Yeah.
And then so that's why,
Well,
to me, yeah,
well, thanks for following, and thanks for observing, and constantly being a support, and offering your assistance and just words of encouragement. It has been consistent just throughout the journey from the time we met. And
hmm
I think all of these things have contributed to, the desire and the motivation to connect to that creative part and to put it out in the world, because
yeah,
you know that even if it's not just about it being huge, it's about persons who recognize that because you've said quite a few things to me to the effect that, to make me understand that my talent is significant. And so when you have persons like that reminding you of how important your talent is, or what you produce is, it gives you that motivation.
oh yeah,
And for
yeah.
me, yeah, and for me, I'm very grateful for that. And I think I just want to continue producing, just creating, and as I said, investing, and speaking to what I feel is the important message that needs to come out in a moment, authentically from
Uh,
me.
I gotta tell you, the time when our relationship shifted, and I just looked at you like a little sister, was when I sent you an email, whenever I use people's music in my stuff, I always ask them their permission. Like Claudia Edwards, I'll send nothing. Claudia, can I use this music? Carl Gustav, Rob Zeitel, I'll send them. And I always try to use music from home, from people from my homeland, because I just think it's my responsibility to try to do my best to promote the artists in St. Lucia, because we have awesome artists. But I sent you an email, a text on email. I said, I'm doing something. Can I use your music for this? And you sent me back, you know, you sent me back a message. Said, the music is there. I give you permission to use it whenever you want to. You can use the music. I was like, I guess she's telling me don't bother her anymore.
I was like, seriously, Ed, I could be like that. I'm like, seriously, Ed, like just use my music, like, like I think that's how I felt.
Yeah, but you know what? I do that, and like even when I used it, I just used your music yesterday on a promo I'm doing for one of my clients, and I sent you a thing. I said, and I will send you the link when it's done. And then I've gotten a couple of text messages and said, hey, we like that work you did. That's some nice music. Who is that? And that's why I put your name. And I just said to him, look at the end of the video. Her name is on there. You Google her, because we never know. The gifts that we have, the gifts that I have, the gifts that you have, they're not for us. They're for the global community. Right now, there's a little girl somewhere on this planet looking at you, and you're the only positive things that she sees that looks like her, making her feel good. And when we understand that there are young people looking at us, looking for so-called role models, looking for people they could identify with to make them feel better, then I think then we take our gifts more seriously. And that's for me, because I'm from Marcia, right, in St. Lucia. That's where I'm from, Marcia. And people say, oh, Marcia's this, Marcia's that. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? There's a little boy in Marcia that will see Brother Umoja and find out I'm from Marcia. And he might say, you know what? If he got out, I could get out too. And if same thing for your music, there's someone listening to your music right now who loves doing music like that. And when they hear your music and see where you are, and see people using your music, that would give them hope to continue. Mm-hmm. So I'm always thinking about our responsibilities as elders. What is our responsibility? So when I hear your music, and like Claudia Edwards and Rob Zeitel, I listen to their music and I like what they're doing. Even Boo Hinkson, I have called him on his phone, and he'll answer the phone. And I said to him, hey Boo, I'm using this. Can I use your music? And he said, yeah, man, go right ahead. Yeah. And to me, I'm blessed that you guys know me. Because to be able to call Boo Hinkson, and he knows who I am, call Carl Gustav, call Rob Zeitel. I say, Rob, can you send me some, like my wife just worked with Rob on a project she's doing, and she asked Rob to send some sax music. And Rob sent it to her like that. Even like Milton Bradford, he does animation, Malfini Films. I could ask Milton for something, he'll do it for me. So to be able to be in a position now where I can request stuff from people, and they trust me enough to do it for me, I just know I'm very humble that I'm in that spirit. Spiritually, I'm in that position, so I don't take it for granted. So when I hear your music, I'm like, wow. And then I love I'm beautiful, because you have those little kids in it, and I'm like, that's really cool. She has a little girl who's like, I'm beautiful because God made me like that. I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that interview, because she's like, oh my God, she just explained it so well in her own words. It's like, duh, I'm beautiful. It's so nice seeing that video. Sometimes it takes me back to that time when we were on that campaign. It was really such a significant experience in my life, because during that time, interestingly, I needed that message. You understand? I needed to be part of that. I needed to be part of giving that message out, because I knew of the little girl in me that had that issue. So just doing that was, again, as I said, was a part of the healing of confronting that little girl and confronting these insecurities and the things that I heard or I thought about myself or people said, and just sort of like facing it and acknowledging the beauty of who you really are. Yeah. And I mean, if we have a creative force, a creator, divine spirit who has is manifesting through us. And so we cannot be anything else but that, and so I'm hoping that continually we will continue to identify with what we are, like who we are, not what we do, and not what we have, and not what we look like, but just the essence of who we are.
Yeah.
And I was telling you a while ago, actually, I was about to say that sometimes I sit down and I'm telling myself I'm experiencing Naomie, I'm experiencing Ngozi, like I'm having an experience of myself, because sometimes I just so entertained by myself or frustrated by myself that I find it quite interesting. I find it quite amusing sometimes, because you there's just so much about you to discover,
Hmm.
and there's so much about you to uncover, and there's so much about you to sort of like wring out, just get there's so much to get out of the way so that you can connect with the depth of who you are. And it's a very interesting experience. And I think if people were to be excited about just themselves, like who you are and who other people are, and how unique and how different this creative force has made everybody, then we would see each other differently. We would experience life with a different perspective, in spite of how hard it is, and in spite of the days when we just want to beat up on ourselves and we don't want to get up, and in spite of the diseases we confront with. It's still very, very interesting and curious, and it's like watching a movie, so so and I think, I hope I'm not talking too much here, but
No. I'm listening to you. No, I'm glad, because what you're saying, I'm smiling and laughing because when I come home to St. Lucia, right, as a Kemetic elder, one of the things that my wife knows, the first thing I do when I come to, well, the first thing I do when I come back to St. Lucia, I go say a prayer at my mom's grave, right? She's buried over at my VG airport. And
okay,
then the next thing I'll do, I'll get dressed in my swim clothes, and I'll take my Kemetic priest ankh with me, and I'll go out to the water and do a meditation to
nice,
reconnect myself. It's like when I come to St. Lucia, it's like me plugging into a battery to recharge myself, because we all have to have that port, like you're talking about, that place, that port where we go to recharge ourselves. And if we don't have that place, we find ourselves sometimes unbalanced. But even people who are listening, they know what I'm talking about, because when you come from work, sometimes people just sit on the chair. They have their favorite chair. They just go sit down. Some people take a beer. Some people get some coffee or tea, and there's red wine or something. They'll sit there and they just exhale.
yeah,
And that's our way. We all have our way of plugging in and recharging.
right, right,
One of my ultimate way of recharging is going to the water and saying my prayers and meditate.
nice, nice,
Because to me, we walk around in the elements all the time, but the one element we don't submerge ourselves in every day is the water, right? Unless you take a bath at home, a salt bath at home, Epsom salt
true,
bath, right?
true,
So it's always find that place. We all have to find that place to recharge. And I'm listening to you talking, and you find your place in certain places, like the music. You hear yourself. You hear your voice. I'm listening to you. You love hearing your voice because your voice gives you that tone, that harmony, and helps you
right,
to balance
yeah,
yourself. So I'm listening to you talking. You're talking about that. So and I think that's important. Young people understand that.
yeah. It's interesting that you said I love my voice, because it feels like I'm having an experience of of a tool that was created by the divine spirit. Like I'm having an experience of a particular vibration from my voice, or a particular idea that came from someplace higher. So it's like I'm not even listening to myself, but I'm listening to something more. I'm actually enjoying the experience of God, or the creative force, or the source, whatever we choose to call, of it manifesting through my vessel. So I'm intrigued by that, and I love being a part of putting it out there, because I know it's not just me. It's not just the me as a human alone.
Right.
It's something more. So it intrigues me, and what comes out sometimes. I mean, you don't plan it. It just comes out because you've done the work to acknowledge and connect to your higher force, and to
Yeah.
the loving force, and to the divine spirit. And you chose, and I chose to focus on that and to focus on gratitude. Gratitude is the easiest way to get out of a funk.
Wait. Time out. Say it again.
Gratitude is the easiest way to get out of a funk.
Now, I want you to say for people who are listening.
Pardon?
Because I wanted you to say that again for people who are listening. Because sometimes, like you say, it's the easiest way, but sometimes because it's so easy, we put it to the side and we look for something more intense.
Right, because if you love to drink, nothing wrong with a little drink, but if that's how you get out of a funk, you have to pay for that drink. If you love to exercise, you may have to expend the energy of going outside if that's what you love to do. But gratitude is so accessible in the now, like literally just stopping and feeling your body and thinking to yourself how grateful I am because I am able to have this, or I'm able to sense this, or I'm able to hear this, or I'm able to do this, or I'm able. It's not about what I want to have or what I should have had or what the next person has, but it's just about look at where I am at right now and how magnificent. These little things are magnificent. The simplest thing of having that cup of tea for you to drink slowly in a quiet space is something to be immensely grateful for. And I think if we get more into that zone, it is not to discredit the things that are hard in your life. It is to give you the energy and the motivation to face them. Because if you're going to be stuck into the stress at work, the boss, the weather, the depression that you're feeling, or the diabetes you were diagnosed with, and you don't find a space to clear your mind, how are you going to face these things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I'm listening to you say that, and I'm thinking to myself, as you say that, those who have followed you through your musical career, I think we understand why your music sounds so different right now. Because
all right, tell me.
No, because I'm listening to your stuff. It's you have gone through, and you're still going through a process, and your gratitude and the reflection of your gratitude comes out in your music.
You're right.
Some people, you see it when they come out of work and they go work out. They go to the gym for a good hour.
Right.
And so they work out really hard. And they come out sweating. They feel good. You pick up your music and you start talking. You start listening to your voice.
Yes.
And that's what we hear. We hear the results of you listening to your voice. Because the music you're putting out right now is really interesting. I like it. I said to myself, boy, I don't know what happened in her, boy, but her music sounds really.
well, you're actually telling me what I was doing, really. You told me I'm listening to my voice. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty true. I am listening to my voice quite a bit, and I do that a lot, and it's so important to me. I literally need to separate myself from all that is. And just sit still and process what's going on in my mind or in my body, and just take moments to not allow all the another thing is the guilt, the small petty things we feel guilty about, though we want to be ideal. I had a bit of an idealistic thing about me, and even when I didn't perform on a certain level, it would trouble me for the entire night, the next day, and I would constantly be going over and over it. A little bit of that still happens, but I just have no interest in being ideal. My biggest interest in right now is being authentic and doing things as well as I can in the moment, given what I have. Now, it might not look like the ideal, but when I look at the complete picture, given what I have, what resources I feel, what my level of energy was on the day, I'm cool. I'm fine. Praise God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. According to a friend of mine. I'm good. This pressure of you should be doing this. You should have been here already. You should have performed this way. You should have given a better talk. I'm no longer interested in that.
Well, it all depends on what people are surrounding you, and what the people surrounding, do they respect who you are as a human being? As I have a prayer I say all the time to myself. I say we are spiritual beings having a human experience,
Right.
and we should never let the human experience limit or suppress our spiritual greatness. And so once we keep our spirituality first, the human side of us does not come in and interfere on a level, because as a human being, I cannot jump and touch the stars. But as a spiritual being, I could jump and surpass the stars. And so when we understand that dynamics of it, and we use it in that now, like you're talking about, it puts us at peace. Then you know you will willingly and openly do your best at that moment.
Right.
Tomorrow, the best you do tomorrow might be better than the one you did yesterday. But in that moment, you did the best that you can.
You did your best.
And that's why. So when I listen to your music, I'm like, wow, that's some really cool stuff she's doing right there. And I enjoy it. I really enjoy your music. But I got to ask you, so where are you going next with your music? What should we be hearing next from Ngozi?
Wow. You should really stay tuned. That's what I really
Well, you know I am.
I think everybody should stay tuned, because I am just creating, and I'm interested in just putting on music that brings more joy and helps us to go a bit higher, you know. So I am moving forward, and I'm continuing to create, and I have a plan to continue to release. So I just think everybody should stay tuned. I will be making announcements about when these releases are coming out, when the show will be held, because I did have my first ever Ngozi open stage at the beginning of this year.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was just telling my partner that this year, the COVID-19 year, I recall telling my friend, oh, it's 2020 vision. Lots is going to happen. It's going to be a great year. And she was excited too. And I said, it has been a great year for me. It has been that vision has been manifesting during this most difficult time. It's like, this is where I am finding my space to shine and to experience so many new things, and to find myself just not allowing the funk to block that. So even the show, I had the show at the earlier part of the year, and it turned out well. I had a number of things happen in my personal life that turned out well. During COVID-19, we formed a nice community group here, you know, cleaned up gutters, conscious conversations. It was just a lot of different things happening, releasing those songs, being on the television to speak to people about their health. I had a regular show on the government television.
GSI, I saw you.
Yeah. So
I follow you.
I know. So I'm just saying that it's been a very eventful year for me.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, you know, because even like as you know, as we experience and we're going through this COVID-19, you know, it has hurt so many people, but on the other side, it has brought opportunities for a lot of people. It has forced us to stop, not just us as an individual, but the whole planet had to stop,
right,
and exhale. And in the harmony of that exhale, there was many of us who reconnected to our gifts and our talents. So I'm waiting to see all the stuff that's going to come out like next year from COVID-19. Oh, you know, we couldn't go to the movies, so now we had to find other ways to entertain ourselves. We couldn't go out and eat at the restaurants and sit down at the restaurant. So we had to find other ways to do those things. A lot of things we love to do outside of our homes and other public places, we couldn't do that. COVID-19 shut that down. So all of a sudden now our Kuumba creativity had to come out, and once your Kuumba comes out, it doesn't go back in just like that. It leaves a stamp mark on you. And
so that's what's happening.
So I'm excited to see what a lot of artists are going to do when COVID-19 is going to be with us for a while. But when it does go down, a lot of artists, a lot of creative people are going to hit that reset button, and they're going to bring things out that's going to make us really start to think about where we are as a people, as you know, not only as individuals in St. Lucia or in the U.S., but us on planet Earth. And it's going to be pretty exciting. That's why I asked you what's next for your music, because I'm listening to your music, and your music is going, woo! And I know a little birdie told me that you might be in a movie soon.
that buddy's pretty close to you, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty close to me. So that, I mean, but you know, the creativity, the kuumba that's in us as we go down that road, it doesn't come and go like that. It comes and it leaves a mark in us, and that mark is going to make us look at things differently. So I'm excited to see what you do, and a lot of what the creative people are doing, will be doing when this COVID-19 goes down and allows us to move more freely. Nothing is going to be the same. COVID-19 has changed us permanently. This planet will never be the same again. And we have to recognize that, because you're talking about millions of people being affected by the same thing at the same time. That doesn't, you never go back and be the same again, because there's too many people globally that's been affected by it. So I'm waiting to see what you do with your music, because there's an effect. You could be affected in a positive way or a negative way. I look at you and I listen to your music, and it's really awesome. That's why I said I want to do another interview with you, because what we spoke about in 2015, 16, that Ngozi, that one is like in high school. The one I'm talking to right now is in college. is working her master's, is working her PhD right now. And I'm like, ooh, we got to talk to her, because the music is really good. But no, thank you so much. Let's talk before we say goodnight. How do people find you? Let's give them some contact information. How can people link up with you? Those who like your music, how can they purchase your music? Give us the 411. How do we find you in St. Lucia and around the world?
It's very simple, folks. It's very simple. Just go to Google and type in Naomie Grandison. So that's Naomie. So there's an E at the end of the Naomie, and Grandison. And you could also put in Ngozi St. Lucia. That would be Ngozi St. Lucia. So any of these two, and you will get me, my music, you on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, you name it. All the stuff that I've put out is there. And
soon to be a movie actress.
So I mean, I'm on YouTube. I'm featured on the St. Lucia music site, so you can get some more information about me. I have a Reverb Nation page. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, Ngozi758. I'm on Twitter, Ngozi758. And I'm on Facebook as...
What's the 758 for?
Oh, 758, the area code, so that I can distinct, the distinct area code, which you would know, but your people find out.
I know you and Kamaya like saying 758, 758. You and Kamaya, Princess Kamaya, 758. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So yes, the 758 for the Lucia rep, So because I mean there are a few Ngozis in the world, and I have to represent where I'm at. So 758, Ngozi 758, Twitter, Instagram, Ngozi Music on Facebook, or just Naomie Grandison. You will get me. Just support the music. What I really want is for the world to hear the music, and I can only do this when people hear the music and they share the music. I think it's been too long. I have this beautiful music, and it's not reaching the amount of people that it needs to reach. And I just implore everybody to just get it out there, man.
Yeah.
That's what I really want. Let's just get the music out there. Yeah. There's so much other stuff that is not really enriching the soul out there that's getting so much attention. We need some higher vibrations out there. There are a lot of artists who put in these out, so let's just get that type of music out there.
Yeah. Well, Ngozi, thank you so much for your time today. I mean, I always enjoy talking to you, and I love listening to your music. So keep making the music, keep putting your message out there, because there's someone listening that needs it. Okay.
Praise God. Give thanks.
Give thanks. And we'll talk to you again. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
matter what.
Victory.
Till the death of me, I'ma find victory. Yeah. Promise I'ma never stop until the sky fall. Never give up till I put holes through the drywall. Promise I'ma be a meteor. I'ma walk on water, bruh, never be inferior. Let them talk, they talk, everything they say gon' make me stronger. I came, I saw, I struggled, I cried, and now I'm about to conquer. Genghis Khan, how strong's the foundation I am standing on? Who do they really think I am depending on? A star is born, shining for a moment, now they want me gone. I see it, I achieve it, now they cannot believe it. They act like they were around when my pain needed relieving, that's the reason.
Push, push.